have read.
Start with Rob.
Coach, just basic biggest takeaways from today. What'd you think?
Well, the one thing I told our guys, the biggest thing I wanted to see was the effort we could put on the defensive end. And I think the effort was there for the most part. We just gave them too much with bad offense. Early in the game we were starting to stat. And again, I think it's really important for this team to establish the type of defensive team that we need to be. We told them going in that we're going to get good looks, which we did early, but they're not going in. And then we forgot about Felix. And we wanted to still play inside out. We wanted to really deflate the defense and then come in, out, maybe back in, but we didn't do any of that. We let them, some of the long shots and turnovers, that's when they got out in transition, and that's hard to defend because they've got a nice team with good players, and if you give them space, they can go finish shots. But defensively, I thought it was, again, that was our main focus going in, and for the most part, I was thinking, again, looking, I may have a different mind set after seeing the film, but offensively, not very good. Had shots to start with, and to be honest with you, shots that we need to make. But with that said, if we're not making them, our defense kept us in the game, and it makes it always harder when you're not making shots. But you got to have something that you can count on every night, and that's why coming to this game, my main focus with our guys was could we guard and sustain it. At the end of the game, we did not execute well at all in terms of what we needed to do. We put a lineup out there right around the 9-minute mark that honestly it was a tough lineup for us to be, but we wanted those guys to have a chance to be in a moment like that. So we got to get it on film. We got to look at it. That's what these games are for. And again, I love playing Mike's team because they're good and well coached. They do what they do, but it was important that we did put some guys in some situations to see how they're going to respond, and then coming down the stretch, we're too slow getting into some, and actually didn't get into some actions that we wanted to get into.
Straight across here.
We didn't see Chaz the final 7 minutes. Is that defense not making shots?
It has nothing to do with making shots. I mean, his job, if he's open, we want him to shoot the ball. It's again, you use these games to sometimes to let guys understand, hey, we've talked about it, we've done it. You got to play hard. At the end of the game, that's what we went with our team that we thought gave us the best chance defensively, because teams can do some different things. We knew that if we play defense the way we want to, we're going to put them in deep into the clock. And with that said, there's going to be some things that happen that we can't control, and you got to have guys out there that know how to fix it, that can come out of their area and make a play if somebody gets screened, and which they do a good job of too. But it gets down to, again, I think a lot of our guys that played today, and I just talked to them about it, is they've got to understand they've got to do the basic things for us to get where trust becomes a factor, but it's about a role you got to play. And we want them to shoot it. So it had nothing to do with missed shots. It really didn't. It all comes down to how can you impact the game if you're not making shots.
You guys took just 13 shots at the rim. What do you need to do to put more pressure on the basket?
Well, that was our whole game plan coming in today, and we didn't do it. We wanted to get the ball going side to side and move, because they get entrenched in there, and if you don't do it, and I thought early, guys, the very first play of the game, we turned down the shot that we practiced, getting it to where we wanted, and if you start doing that, now it doesn't end well. Because it goes back to trust in what we're trying to get done. We knew it, and just like they knew us. We knew the shots we were going to be able to get. In the first possession of the game, I think we turned down 3 shots that you've got to take, and then it just ends up not being what you want at all. But we just didn't move them the way we needed to, and that's what we've talked about really for whether we're playing Indiana or anybody that plays that type of defense, and just didn't do a good job with it.
Grant asked about Chaz at the end, but not starting Chaz and starting Jordan. Was that more about Chaz or more about Jordan?
Well, it's more that, Chaz has not practiced as much. He's had an injury that he's been dealing with. And so I've said it before, what we do in practice will determine who's gonna start and who's gonna play. That, I tell the guys all the time, the film's gonna decide who's gonna play. And we watch it constantly, we show it to them, and there's certain things that we just have to get from guys. And if they're not willing to do that, you hope that they will, but if not, you just gotta put the guys out there that are really your most consistent guys, and that's what we're trying to figure out, but we know we need them all. We need every one of them. I mean, our goal coming into this year was that we wanted to play 10 guys, didn't want to play Z as many minutes as he played, but that was our mindset as a coach, but our players haven't let us do that because of not buying into what we need them to do for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes at a time. That's what we need them to do, and then because the way we defensively, we want to sustain that. And we want to play 94 feet. We want to run, and we do want to shoot the ball quick, but we got to be smart enough to know, you know, if you're not making shots, especially when we talk about getting. We had a lot of times we could have made one more by getting to the lane, putting more pressure on, trying to get to the foul line, all those type things. But the turnovers were the ones that weren't smart, because we told them it's not going to be a 2 dribble gap game the way they gap it, but we played too much, really not downhill, too much kind of east and west, and just. But am I surprised going in? I'm not sure I am, because I've been watching it, and we need more of these games. We do. Now we only got 2, so we got to be ready. We've got a lot of improvement to do before we open up.
Reese and Ben.
Coach in the back here, 30 seconds left in the game. Sakai puts up a contested 3. What do you guys got to do to get a better shot?
Well, I told him he's got to call timeout. I mean, again, we didn't execute the play. We didn't, and that's what we talked about. Everybody told him they knew what was on, but we didn't execute it. It goes back where I think guys are they're either letting anxiety or too uptight, where they're not listening and they're not able to function in that situation, which sometimes you find that out too about players. But we had a play on, but I told him, and he saw from the beginning it didn't develop right. I told him, I said, you knew we had timeouts, you got to call a timeout, because that was a big possession right there.
Rick Darlingstone only played for 5 minutes. I guess where you see that right
Who?
now. Darlingstone.
Again, still trying to learn what we need defensively, consistency, and if you look at the guys that had fewer minutes, it gets down to what we see every day in practice, what we want them to do, and understanding exactly what he's got to do when he's out there.
And if you have questions, please raise your hand. Go Wes and Ryan.
Rick, I know that there were times where maybe some shots were taken that you didn't love, but with Meshack, is he a guy who, as much work as he's put in, you'd like to see him be more aggressive at times with the way that shot's going?
Yeah, again, he does. But, again, I think he's a perfect example of knowing who he is. And, he's not going to go searching him out, but he knows if he's there, he's going to take him. But, he's the guy that has bought into his role. I mean, he's a star in what he does, and he has improved his shot. And, again, when he's open, we expect him to shoot it. But he's also become a smart player in the fact he knew early we had been missing some threes, and he was the guy trying to get some paint touches. And early in the game, I think we had 8 at one time early. I think one time in the game we had 13 or 14 paint touches, but we only had scored on 2 of them. And we just weren't very efficient on the offensive end.
What went wrong in that couple-minute stretch when Sakai was out in the second half?
That was around the 9-minute mark. A lineup that, I'm not sure we'd play a lot, but we wanted to put them in that situation at that time. We wanted to see how they would respond with it, and that's why they were out there. But we wanted some guys that they want to play, but sometimes, as much as you talk to them about what they need to do, you got to put them in those situations when you're playing a different opponent, and let them realize it's a whole lot different than what they might think. It's a whole lot harder than they might think. But that's the reason we took him out and went with that lineup at that time, because I felt those guys out there at that point in time, without he and Jamal on the floor, we wanted to see if they could maintain the level of intensity, if they could defend the way those guys defended when they're on the court, and then see if they could play together on the offensive end.
How would you evaluate what you got in it before
I thought he rebounded really well. He's a guy that he can give us a lot more, but he's gonna have to slow down. He's gonna have to really have a great awareness of who he's playing with and know his teammates inside out. I think he made the effort. You know, he made some plays. You know, he got blown by, 70 feet from the basket, which he can't do. We're not asking anybody to, other than Zakai and Jemai, that can really puff up the guys and make them work. And we wanted him to contain the ball. Plays, and at the end of the game, his execution, not knowing what we're in, all those things are fixable things. But he's played enough basketball that he should already be there on those things.
Last one from Reese.
What do you want to see from Cam in order for him to turn the corner? I know you were a little frustrated with him offensively there.
Consistency, really, from Cam, we need Cam to really help us. But he's gonna have to, again, go back. But the one thing I talked to him about is defense, and we went through it yesterday. Well, not just yesterday, we do it a lot. He has a tendency to stand and stare at the ball, and he got back cut. And that's the one thing I said to him before the game. I don't want you to get back. Show me you're not gonna get back cut. And he went in and he got back cut. Now, this being the first game in front of people and all that, you expect a little of the jitters and all that. But to me, he's played enough basketball that if you say one thing, hey, we're not gonna get back cut, we gotta be there. And then offensively, if he'll just, again, settle in, and we really need him to help us because he can.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.